Hello everyone. So, so far we have seen about the various options available under the source and sink in the copy data activity. So, in today's session, we will see the application of get metadata and for each loop iterator inside the pipeline. So, for example, we have a scenario. So, I have the storage account called Mohan. So in that storage account, I choose the data lake storage under which I have a container called practice. And inside that container, I have two folders, input and output folders. So input folder, I have various files of different formats like CSV, text, and I have one subfolder called December. In that December, again, I have a file called December 2019 CSV. So now my requirement is I want to copy all these folders and files from my input folder to output folder. So this I want to achieve by using the pipeline in the ADF. So basically in the copy activity under the source, we have three options like file path, wildcard, and list of files. So basically, in the copy data activity, by choosing the wildcard, and if we given the asterisk in the file name, so then it will loop all these folders and files and paste it in the output folder. But I don't want to use that wildcard, and let's explore what are the other options we have. So in input folder, I have all these files and folders. So let's go to the algorithm before implementing in the ADF. So first of all, I need to get what are all the folders and files available in my directory input. Okay, so input is a folder. So inside that folder, I want to get the metadata of what are the files and folders are available. So in order to get that metadata of the folder in ADF pipeline, we have an activity called get metadata. So get metadata is used to get the metadata of a folder or a file, whatever as an input we have given. So here I want to get the metadata of a folder. So metadata in the sense, what are the folders and file types are available with the file names and all. So I will use this get metadata activity in my pipeline, which I will give this input folder as a data set. So what this get metadata will do, it will returns me the output of the child items inside the input folder. So firstly, I want to get the list of folders and files inside my input folder, right? So for that, I'm using the get metadata activity. So to this activity, I am giving the input folder as a data set. And as a result, I am getting the child items inside the folder. So that the get metadata will store that information. So like this, I will get the output. So inside the folder, I have these various CSV files and folder and text files. So this is the output stored in the get metadata. So now for the output stored, which is in array format, which contains the list of items. So I want to loop through each item. So for example, here it is something around 8. So one folder and 7 files, total 8 items are there. 8 child items are there. So in order to move them to the output folder, I want to loop or iterate through the each item. So for that, I have an activity in the ADF called for loop. In order to iterate each item from an array, I have an activity called for each loop iterator. So to this for each loop iterator, I will give the output of this get metadata. To this for each loop iterator, I will give the output of the get metadata, which is this child items. So in child items, I have 7 files and 1 folder. So this for each loop will iterate whatever the activities we placed inside that for each loop, it will iterate for 8 times. So inside the for each loop, now I will configure the copy activity. So basically for copy activity, it needs the container name, folder name, and the file, right? So always this path is same. Here always this input, until this input it is same. The file name will be varying. So in the first iterator, it will be April 2019 CSV. In the second iterator, it will be August 2019 CSV, and go on this. For each iterator, the file name will be changing. So here under the data set, I will create the file name as a parameter. I don't want to hard code it. Why? Because for each iterator, the file name will be passed from the for each loop item into the copy activity dataset. So for that purpose, I want to create this file name as a parameter. So to this parameter file name, now I will give that for each loop item dot name. So when I run this entire pipeline, so when I run this pipeline with get metadata and for each loop, and inside the for each loop again copy activity. So firstly the get metadata will take this input as a data set, and it will returns whatever the files and folders available inside that input folder as a child item. So I will pass these child items as a input to for each. So this for each will iterate for each item inside the array. So that item I will pass as a parameter to my file name inside the copy data activity. So for the first iteration, what it will do, it will get this April 2019 as a source in the copy activity, and it will copy that into the output folder, which is the sink in my copy activity. So next iterator, this for each loop, it will run for 8 times, right? So in the next iterator, it will get this April 2019 as a source, and it will move it into the output folder, or it will move it into the sink. So this dynamically changing file name I am handling using the parameter at dataset level. So parameter concept, like we can create the parameter at linked service, dataset, activity, pipeline, and triggers. So we can create the parameters at any component of the ADF. So all these are the components of the ADF. So we can create parameter at linked service level, or dataset level, or activity level, or pipeline level, or trigger level. But the point to be considered is, as linked service is very low level hierarchy here. So if we create any parameter at linked service, it is available only till that component. If we create a parameter at data set level, so we can pass the value either from linked service or data set. So at which level of hierarchy we create the parameter, to the down level it is available. So for example, if I create the parameter at data set level, okay, if I create the parameter at data set level, so in this scenario, we are going to create the parameter at the data set level, and to that parameter, we are passing the value from copy activity dataset. So let's see this implementation in the Azure Data Factory. So as the requirement, I'm into my input folder, and here I have this CSV and TX text files with December, and this is my output folder. So now my requirement is I want to move all these items into my output folder using a pipeline. So I'm going to create a new pipeline. So naming it as iterator, PL underscore iterator. Okay. So firstly, what I need to do, I want to get the child items inside my input folder. In order to get that child items, I have an activity called get metadata. So we have seen that copy data from the move and transform. So today we will see this get metadata that is available under this general category. So from here I am pulling this get metadata. So I am naming this activity as folder metadata. Since it is giving the child items inside the folder, I am naming this activity as folder metadata. So if I go to the settings of this activity, so here I need to give the data set, means which metadata you want, that we need to configure in the data set. So I'm going for new, and here my data set is available in the data lake gen 2 storage. So I am choosing that. So here I am having various different formats, right? Some are CSV, some are text, and some are folders. So I'm going with binary. So binary will handle for all file formats. So I am naming it as dataset underscore folder metadata. And already I created a linked service to the storage account. So I'm choosing the same. So here I'm configuring the input folder. So I'm leaving the file name as blank, and I'm just clicking on OK. Okay. So I don't want to this. So from the input folder, we need to choose the field list. Say in that metadata, we have various outputs. So one is the child items. So child item in the sense in that input folder, whatever the files or folders we have, those all will come. So these are all like item name, means folder name or file name, and its type, whether it is a CSV text or a folder, and last modified if exist. So for now, we will see this child items. Okay, so I will validate this get meta the activity, and I will run it on debug mode to see what is the output. Okay. So I want to see the output of this get metadata activity. So I'm just copying to notepad here. So since I have given that item as a child item, field list as child item. So in that input folder, whatever the items we have, so I'm getting the name and type. So whether it is a folder, so since December is a folder, I'm getting the type as folder, and it is a file, I'm getting the type as file. So now total I have something around 8 child items, right? So in an array format. So now I want to loop through these child items. In order to loop through the child items in ADF, we have an activity called for each under the iteration and conditionals for each. Okay, I will rename it as loop each child item for easy understanding purpose. So I'm going into the settings. So here we have an options called sequential and batch count. We will see later. So now I want to configure this for each activity which I want to loop. So I want to loop the output of the get metadata which I am having these child items. These child items I want to pass it to the for each and loop for each item. So in the items, I can go for dynamic content. So I have 4 tabs here: parameters, system variables, functions, and user defined variables. So whenever we give the connection in between these two activities, then the output of this get metadata will be reflected in the for each. So here on completion, I will give the connection to this for each activity. So now if I go to the dynamic content, so additional tab is populated. So the output of this activity will be displayed under the activity outputs. So what is that? Child items. So the expression builder is important in the ADF where we build this dynamic content. So folder metadata is the name of this get metadata activity. So from that activity, various outputs I have like child items, the item name, item type, last modified and all. So for now, I am just choosing the child items as an output from this activity. Click on OK. So now what I am doing, so for example, now this I want to pass this file name to my copy activity source, right? So inside this for each loop, um, inside this for each loop, I am going with a copy activity. So copy activity will be under move and transform. So copy each item from input to output. So here the source is my input and sync is the output. Okay, I will just go to the source. So here I will create the data set for my source in the copy activity. So I am choosing this Azure Data Lake Gen 2 binary as the format, and I'm naming it as dataset underscore copy activity source. So I'm choosing the existing linked service, and here I will configure the input folder and I leave the file name as blank. Okay. So basically the file name, since the file name will change for every iterator, so I want to handle that by using a parameter. So I just click on that data set open mode, and here I have the parameter. Here I will create the file name. and I will give here just a sample value, default value. Okay, so now in this file name, I will give that parameter. So this, as this parameter called file name is created under the dataset. So at the rate of dataset dot parameter name file name. So this file name is created at the dataset level. So at dataset dot file name. So to this dataset file parameter called file name, I want to pass this value from the for each. Okay. So since I created a parameter at dataset level, so under the dataset properties, that parameter is visible where I will pass this value, add dynamic content. So loop each item. Okay. So now the source path is set. So as this is the static part, so there is no change in this thing. So this is the static part. So always this will be changing. So that file name will be changing. So for that purpose, I created a parameter at dataset level. So to that parameter, from the for each loop, I am passing the value. So the for each loop will store the 8 child items from the get metadata. And for each iteration out of the child items, it will pass one by one to the copy activity. So that one by one I am getting from the for each items. So that is what I have given here, item dot name. So this loop child item is the name of the for each iterator. So inside that for each I have 8 items. Out of that I am getting one by one, like item dot name. Okay. So sync. So sync is my output folder. So data like Gen2 binary. If source, whatever the format we have given for the source, for the sync also same. If source is CSV, sync should be CSV. If source is binary, sync should be binary. So dataset underscore copy activity output. So under this, I will choose my output folder. Okay. So the copy behavior, if I don't select anything, by default, it will go for the preserve hierarchy. And the mapping tab is not enabled because, so as binary will support for multiple formats. So yeah, for binary format, the mapping tab is not enabled. So recursively option means it will go through the subfolders, and if any file is present, it will move it into the sync as well. And for each loop, so let me select the sequential here. So sequential means total I have 8 items, right? 8 child items. So I want to go item by item. So once this item is completed by copy activity, then the for each loop will pass another item to the copy activity. If I don't select this, it will, so copy activity is moving this file from source to sync, and again the for each will pass one more, so parallel execution will happen. So sometimes same file will copy activity try to access it as source, we will get some error. So sequential, if we go one task is completed by copy activity, then the for each will pass another one by one manner. Or if whenever we have large data sets, and then we can choose the batch count. Say for example, we have 8 items, and if you want to loop 3 items for each iterator, so like that we can give that batch count here. So for each iterator, that many items the for each will loop. So I want to go in a sequential. So I'm just validating, no errors were found. So now I'm running it in the debug mode. So the expectation is in the output folder, I don't have anything. So whatever the items I have in my input folder should be moved into my output folder. So for this, I have used the get metadata activity and for each activity. So the output of get metadata child items is passed as an input to the for each. So the for each will store in an array format. So in an array, we have items. So for each iterator, it will pass one item to the copy activity as a source. So if you see for get metadata, one time execution completed. So this for each now execute for this copy activity for 8 times. So until this copy activity 8 times will completed, then this for each loop status will also updated to succeeded. That's why these are called as iterators. And so the for each is available under the iterator. So mainly we will focus on this copy activity and the activities that are available in the general and the iterations and conditionals and Databricks notebook. Databricks notebook. So these all activities we will cover. So total we have created 3 data sets. So one data set for get metadata input folder and another data set for copy activity source where that file name is parameterized and that value is passed from the for each item dot name and another data set for the sync part. Okay, so the total pipeline is got succeeded, and if I go to the output and refresh, so I got all these folders and files. So even if I go to the December, since I enabled the option, so all this from the input folder got copied into the output folder. And if you see at last the summary of our pipeline, so this get metadata will give me the child items in an array format, and this will be passed as an input total items count 8 to the for each loop. So for each loop will trigger this copy activity for 8 times. So for the first time, so here we can see that file name used in that copy activity. So see files read, files written 1. If I randomly pick or if I see, so that file name will be passed from the for each and that file will be moved uh, from the source to the sync. Okay. So in the next session, we will see the application of the if condition and get metadata for file level metadata. So this is the parameter created at dataset level. So in the copy activity, we created the start and end date at pipeline level, and this is the parameter that we created at dataset level, and we used the greater than function in this dynamic expression builder. So just make a note of what are the new things that you are learning, and in the next session we see uh, the same with if condition inside the for each and get metadata at file level. Thanks for your time.